All right, what's up, guys? So today's all about how to get a competition body without doing a competition. So as many of you guys know, if you've been following me for a long time on Instagram, or if you've been following me on Facebook, or if you've just known me for a long time, you know I work with two types of clients. I work with competition clients. Obviously, that's self-explanatory, how to do a competition. And I work with lifestyle clients. Okay, now lifestyle clients are just people who want to be in great shape, but they don't necessarily want to do a competition. And I will say, just kind of as a side note, most of my competition clients actually start with me as lifestyle clients, and they get in such great shape and they realize that it's actually not that hard to do a competition once they get the fundamentals down, that they can actually do one. It's still hard, but they eventually do it. So a lot of my competition clients, what you don't see is they started with me as lifestyle clients. Okay. So having said that, let me give you just a little bit of background on me before we actually get into the session. Okay. Now, when I first started in the business 22 years ago, I was just a personal trainer, right? And I worked in the gym and I did all that. And the clients that I worked with were all lifestyle clients. And for 8 years of doing it as my job, all I did was work with lifestyle clients. So all of my knowledge, my program design, my nutrition base, all of that stuff was built and geared around lifestyle clients. And then about 8 years into my journey of being a personal trainer and being a very good one at that, I decided to do a fitness competition myself. And so I put myself through the process and did a competition, and voila, there I am. Now I'm a competitor. And I've done about 10 competitions since then. So I've done quite a few. Okay. But at 8 years is when I actually, after 8 years of training, after 8 years of being a certified nutritionist, that's the first time that I ever did any kind of competition stuff. And for 8 years, all I did was work on lifestyle stuff. So why am I telling you this? Because when I started to actually work with competitors, as you would guess, after I do a show and I get in great shape and I post all of these photos online and everything, people started to come to me to help them do a show. Okay. And my secret was to actually just give them a lifestyle program, right? So it wasn't a competition program. It wasn't a competition workout plan or a competition nutrition plan. It was actually a lifestyle nutrition and workout program. And I just showed them how to take it to the next level where they wouldn't have to, sacrifice life or not have fun throughout the journey. They could actually live their normal life in a sense, and still do a competition, still be a lifestyle client, but still know how to do a competition. And so I just got extremely successful with a lot of clients that I was working with because we were teaching these lifestyle concepts and we were just teaching them how to take it to the next level, right? And so over all these years of working with competitors, I started working with competitors about 14 years ago. And over all these years, it has just gotten more fine-tuned and more fine-tuned. And I will tell you this, that all of my competition clients follow lifestyle client programs. Okay. It's not the other way around. It's not that my lifestyle clients follow competition programs. It's actually my competition clients follow lifestyle programs. Okay. Because at the end of the day, these competitions are a hobby, right? These competitions are just something to do. It's a goal to achieve. Of course we want to win and we want to do all that stuff, but at the end of the day, they're just fun. It's just something extra. Okay. So I want to make sure that you're able to fit it in within your life. Okay. All right, cool. Having said that, everything that we're going to talk about is how a lifestyle client can get a competition body without actually doing a competition. Now, one of the main questions I get asked all the time is, Aaron, what is the difference between a lifestyle program and a competition program? Okay. And there's a few differences, but I'll give you the one major difference. And I always say it to just shock people, right? But the major difference is the final 8 weeks. Okay. And if you're a lifestyle client, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Let me give you an example. Let's say I have two clients. Okay. Both clients have the exact same body, have the exact same goals. They both want to lose 30 pounds of fat. We're just going to use that number. Okay. They're both starting from the exact same place. Okay. Now, the difference is a competition client will have a deadline of when they want to do it. So maybe it's a 6-month deadline, where a lifestyle client doesn't necessarily have a deadline. They're both going to relatively start in the same spot with their program, with their nutrition plan and exercise plan. Okay. But as they go through it, when that competition client gets 8 weeks out from their show, that's when things change. Now, a lifestyle client will never be 8 weeks out from a show because they're never doing a show. So they're never going to be 8 weeks out from a show. So a lifestyle client will just keep going and going and going and going, where a competition client, they really have to make some major changes on the final 8 weeks going into your show. So if you're a lifestyle client, you'll never really ever have to do what they do unless you want to, that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay. So the real big difference is really the final 8 weeks, what you do leading into your show. The rest of the stuff in between is exactly the same. Okay. I can't stress that enough, that these competitors that you see online, or these people with these really elite bodies that are doing these competitions, well, at least if they're my clients, I'll speak for my clients. My clients are following healthy lifestyle programs and healthy lifestyle principles. Okay. What they're not doing is following some kind of, BS, something that only competitors can follow. No, this is a regular program that anybody can follow. Okay. So let's just start off with that. Okay. So let's get right into how we're actually going to do it. Now, there's 4 major categories of what you have to do to get a competition body without doing a competition. Okay. So first, you must have the 9 elements that I talked about in your body transformation program. Okay. I had a really, really awesome session talking about the 9 must-have elements in a body transformation program. And I'm going to give you a quick review. Okay. Now, obviously we all know those 9 elements. We all know the first 2. We know we need these: a workout plan and a nutrition plan. Okay. So we know we need those 2. Okay. Number 3, we also need a habit plan. You're going to see why here in a second. You need a mindset plan. You need a strategy for each one of those. You need a strategy for your workout plan, your nutrition plan, your habit plan, and your mindset plan. You can't just go from, hey, I'm doing absolutely nothing to I'm going to be 100% perfect. Okay, you can't do that. You need a strategy, a step-by-step strategy for each one of those things. Okay. You need an accountability system. That's number 6. You need something or someone to hold you accountable. Not only is it going to be someone who is going to tell you all the good things that are happening, but it also needs somebody that's going to be able to tell you the bad things that are happening, or kick you in the butt when you really need to get a fire lit under your butt, right? So you need an accountability system. You need someone to hold you accountable. Okay. Now, if you think you can hold yourself accountable, then, you can be that person. But I will tell you, if you haven't already done it, chances are you won't be able to, especially when it comes down to trying to get this competition body. Okay. Number 7, you need assessment, reassessment, and analysis process. Number 8, you need a continuing education process. And then number 9, you need a modification process as well. Okay. So those are the 9 must-have elements that you have. So that's category number 1. Okay. That's just a quick review. So if you have those, then you're off to a good start. Okay. Now, the second thing that you need in order to get a competition body without doing a competition is you need to understand the process that it's going to take for you to actually achieve it. Okay. Achieve that particular goal. Okay. So let me explain to you what I mean by understanding the process. Okay. Most people don't know this. When I talk to them for the first time on the phone and I give them this stat, they're kind of like, wow, I didn't realize this was the real thing. Okay. So average, you want to set up your program to average about 1 pound of fat loss per week. Okay. Now that is not 1 pound of weight per week that you want to lose. It's 1 pound of fat loss. Okay. This is why I said at the very beginning, you must have all the 9 elements that I just talked about, because part of those 9 elements is the data collection process, right? And that's understanding what your body fat is and how many pounds of fat you have. Okay. So you have to set up your program to lose 1 pound of fat a week. If you set up your program to lose more than 1 pound of fat a week, A, it's not going to be sustainable. B, if you are able to make it all the way to the end, which most people burn out if they try to do it faster than 1 pound of fat a week. Okay. But if you are able to make it to the end, you won't be able to keep that transformation. Okay. So 1 pound of fat loss per week is what A, is fairly easy to do in a normal everyday life, but B, it's actually sustainable. So when you finish your transformation or you reach your end date, you're actually able to keep it off. You're actually able to keep most of those results. Okay. So it starts off with averaging 1 pound of fat loss per week. So let's just, most people don't know their body fat, okay? So if you don't know your body fat, I'll just kind of give you an idea of how to guesstimate. Okay, this is a guesstimation. Okay, and this is how I do for people that I'm talking to on the phone. Okay, let's just say that you are 160 pounds and your goal weight is to get down to 130. Okay, and that's what you think. Okay, let's guesstimate that you have 30 pounds of fat to lose. Okay, now before you actually get started, we really need to know if you really do have 30 pounds of fat, and you need to track that on a monthly basis. But let's just pretend that you have all that stuff, you're good to go, okay? So if you have 30 pounds of fat that you need to lose, that's gonna be roughly 30 weeks that you should prepare yourself to lose that 30 pounds of fat, okay? So that's 30 weeks. If we were to divide that by 4, right? So 4 weeks in a month, that would give us 7.5 months, okay? So if you have 30 pounds of fat that you're trying to lose, you probably are looking at about 7.5 months of averaging 1 pound of fat per week, okay? Now, 7.5 months is a really long time, okay? But that is average, okay? That's the type of program that you want to have. If you start setting yourself up to lose more than 1 pound of fat a week, like I told you, you probably are going to burn out before you ever reach your end date. And B, if you do reach your end date, you're probably not going to sustain those results and you're probably going to blow up. Okay. We've all seen them. Like if you look at these, we've probably all seen people who said, oh yeah, I've done a competition. And then you look at them and you're like, wow, you don't ever look like you've ever done a competition, because they've gained 40, 50, or even 60 pounds after their competition. Okay. Those are people who tried to lose more than 1 pound of fat a week. They weren't trying to do it in a sustainable way. They got to their end goal. They may have looked great. They may have some awesome photos, but they just went right back to where they were before, or even worse in most cases after they've completed their show. Okay. So you want to make sure, it's super important that you understand the process, and that's losing about 1 pound of fat a week. Okay. So if you have more than 30 pounds, then it's going to be more than 7.5 months. Okay. So the other reason why you only want to do it at 1 pound of fat a week is because this allows you to make mistakes. This allows you to have a hiccup here and there. This allows you to go on vacation and enjoy yourself. Okay. It's not 7 weeks of being a prisoner to food. It's 7 weeks of, not 7.5 months of being a prisoner to food. It's 7.5 months of really living life like you normally would, right? Having birthday parties, going on vacation, going on road trips, enjoying a piece of cake, having a birthday, enjoying a night out with friends and family and things like that. 1 pound of fat a week would allow you to have that type of flexibility and actually allow you to live life, okay? Now, can you lose more than 1 pound of fat a week? Absolutely. You absolutely can, okay? But the type of life that you have to live, let's just say you wanted to lose 2 pounds of fat a week, okay? The type of life that you have to live to lose 2 pounds of fat a week is not a life that you are going to enjoy, okay? So if you're not going to enjoy the process, if you're not going to enjoy the journey, then why even do it, okay? Results are great, okay? Looking good is great, but I'll tell you what's even better than that is enjoying life, not feeling like a prisoner to food, feeling free. Okay. And you can enjoy life. You can feel free. You can just enjoy the simple things in life and still make a transformation. You don't have to get crazy, crazy, crazy hardcore where everything in life is miserable. Okay. So number 2, just understand the process and how long it would take for you to really get the results that you want. Okay. Now, the third category, or the third section, if you want to have a competition body without doing a competition, is you have to look at the execution of your habits. You need to know what that needs to look like over a period of time. Okay. So let's stick with this 7.5 months time period. Okay. You want to lose 30 pounds of fat. You have 7.5 months. Okay. So if you remember one of the 9 elements is you got to have a habit plan. You got to have certain habits that you need to do. So you need to start off with the list, okay? And you need to be able to track those things. That way you can see if you're executing better and better and better and better. And so really what you want, let's just pretend you write down 5 habits that you must have, right? You need to meal prep every week. You need to, eat breakfast every day. You need to, eat a perfectly planned out breakfast, a perfectly planned out lunch, a perfectly planned out dinner. And then you need to do your weight training and your cardio. Let's just keep it really simple. And let's just say those are your 5 habits or 6 habits or whatever it is. Okay. Then what you do is you just track it on a monthly basis. Okay. And you see how you're doing. And what you should see is every month as you get closer to your end date, to your goal date, you should see that the execution starts to improve little by little, okay? What most people do is most people say, okay, I'm gonna start this body transformation program and now I'm gonna just be 100% perfect. And when they can't be 100% perfect in the first month, they quit. Oh, 2 weeks I tried, I fell off, I can't do it anymore, I'm done. That's what most people do, okay? You can't do that, okay? There's very few people that I know that I have ever given a plan to and they have executed 100% from day one. I can't think of any client that's ever been able to sustain that for 3, 4, or 5 months, okay? Most of my clients execute anywhere between 75 to about 90% a month. Okay. And we track all of my clients. We track all of these stats. Okay. So they're executing between 75 and 90% on a monthly basis. But at the very beginning, you might start off at 40%. Then you might go up to 45. Then you might go up to 50. Okay. And what you should see is a progress of your habits, a progress of the execution of your habits as you get closer and closer to the end date. Now, once you get really close to the end date, I'll say about 30 days out, okay, from what your goal date is, okay, everybody should have a goal date. If you don't have a goal date, you're just, we're going to talk about that here in a second, but everybody should have an end date, okay? But when you get about 30 days out from your end date, that's when you should expect yourself to start executing at 90% or above, okay? But before that, you just want to see progress on a monthly basis, okay? If you're an advanced client, then maybe you stretch it out to 60 days and say, okay, for 60 days, now that I've kind of worked my way up to 85 to 90% execution, now I want to stay at 90% or above for the next 60 days. Okay. So that's how the execution of your habit should look. You should not be perfect in the beginning. Okay. You don't even need to be perfect in the middle. Okay. You need to work your way up to about 80 to 85% execution. And then the last 30 days, okay, if you've never done this before, I would suggest you only do it for 30 days. For the last 30 days, that's when you go really hardcore and you try to keep it at 90%. Okay. So you're just slowly working yourself up. And then once you get to 30 days, you try to hold it at 90% and hold it the entire time. Okay. If you're advanced, you can even push that to 60 days. Okay. So that's the third thing. Okay. Execution of your habits and know how the execution should look over time. Okay. All right. Now this next one is probably the hardest one of all and the one that usually gets us every single time. And that's the mindsets that you must have, the mindsets you must develop, and knowing the problems that you are going to face. Okay. So I'll start off real simple. There's a couple things, couple mindsets, or even skills that you will really need to learn throughout this process. Okay. And that's number one. You're going to have to learn to develop resiliency. Okay. Resiliency means that I'm going to really butcher this. I'm sure there's going to be professionals out there who are going to tell me that's not the definition of resiliency, but I'm going to just paraphrase. Resiliency is essentially where you have a goal and you continue to work towards your goal no matter what. You have good days, you have bad days, but you're resilient. You continue to work forward. You have some things that are positive. You have some things that are negative that occur, but you can continue to be resilient and work forward. Okay. Resiliency is actually a skill. Okay. When you are really trying to accomplish a goal like this, okay, there is such thing as necessary pain. Okay, now you don't need to have necessary pain at 6 months out. Okay, that's not a good thing. Okay, and it shouldn't be happening all the time. But there is a fine line of there's too much pain and there's not enough pain. But at the end of the day, you need to learn to develop that healthy resiliency where you can continue to work towards your goals. Okay, so that's number one. The other thing that the other mindset you need to learn is, and this is huge, is learning how to manage your thoughts and your emotions. Okay. I'm telling you right now, you're going to have days where you're going to feel amazing and everything's working in the right direction. And then you're going to have days where you feel completely down in the dumps. You're negative. You think it's never going to happen. You're never going to make this transformation. But you need to learn to manage those thoughts and manage those emotions. Okay. There might be days where you just break down crying, right? But you need to learn to manage those thoughts and those emotions. Okay. Many years ago, when I was first doing one of my very first competitions, I decided that I wanted to keep a journal. And more keep a journal because I wanted to publish it. But after I wrote it, I realized I didn't want to publish it. But what I wanted to do was every single day, I wanted to just write down how my day went. Okay. And so every single day you would see, or every single week you would see, like I would have days where I'm like, man, everything's great. Everything's rocking. It's going well. But then I would have these days like, oh my gosh, like today was the worst. Like this is what happened. It was awful. I feel like this. I feel like I'm never going to make the transformation. But at the end of every negative thing that happened, I would always say, but I trust the program. I trust the process. I know this is just what people go through. I will keep going. Right. And then I would have a journal entry the next day. So no matter if I had a good or bad day, I would always say at the end, everything is going to work out. Trust the process. This is exactly what I need to be on. Just keep doing it. And I just kept doing it. And then I end up being in great shape and doing a show. So even the most elite and advanced competitors, they're not immune from having negative thoughts and negative emotions. But the reason why they're able to get on stage is because they've learned how to manage their emotions and be resilient. Okay. Now, I'll tell you some things that you're going to face as you're trying to make this transformation. What you will face is you will face a point where you will want to quit. A 100% chance you will reach a point in this transformation journey where you will want to quit. 100% of my competitors all go through this process. Every single one of them reach a point where it makes sense to quit, right? Maybe you lost your job. Maybe, family is sick. Maybe your kid is sick. Whatever the case may be. Maybe your gym closed. It could be all kinds of random stuff. But there will be a point where it makes total sense to end your journey. And logically, you would be like, yeah, this is a good reason to end the journey. Okay. Every single one of my clients reaches that point. Okay. But I'll tell you this, every single competitor that has ever jumped on stage for me, 100% of them busted through that barrier. And at that barrier, that is truly what's going to make you achieve your goal. Because if you cannot get past that point, you will never achieve your goal. And the next time you do it, when it gets really, really tough and really intense, you're going to quit again. When it gets really tough and really intense again, you're going to quit again. You need to learn, first understand that that's going to happen. Okay, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't suck. You aren't broken. Okay, that's going to happen to you. Every single person goes through that. And if you can understand that that's going to happen and that's just part of the journey and that you just have to continue to move forward, well, maybe now you can continue to move forward and bust through that particular barrier and get on the other side. Most people, when they get there, they start making themselves wrong. Oh, life just sucks. Life's coming after me. I suck. I don't have what it takes. Maybe I'm not good enough. They'll start creating all kinds of crazy stories. And they're like, you know what? I think it's just time to quit. And they'll quit and then they'll move on and then they'll try to go look for another program that works for them. Okay. The issue is they didn't bust through that barrier. So you will face that. I promise you, anything worth achieving is going to get you to a point where you're going to want to quit. Okay. So I cannot stress that one point enough. If there's one thing you take away from this entire thing is just know that you will want to quit when you're on your journey, but you got to keep going. On the other side of that is where your success really lies. Okay. So those are the 4 things that you must have. Okay. If you want to get a competition body without doing a competition. So number 1, make sure you have all the 9 elements that we talked about. Number 2, understand the process that it's going to take and how long it's going to take for you to achieve your goals. Okay. Number 3, Know what your habits and your execution of your habits should look like over time. You don't have to be perfect from day one. Okay. You need to just slowly improve your habits over time. And the only time that you should really expect perfection or somewhere in that vicinity is 30 days out if you're kind of a beginner, or 60 days out if you're advanced. Okay. I never expect any of my clients to be higher than 60 days. At 60 days, even my most elite competitors, at 60 days out, that is when we actually start to try to be perfect. Okay. And the last thing is developing certain mindsets and understanding the problems that you're going to face when you actually go through this journey. Okay. Let me, we're going to go into kind of my bonus things that you must need. Okay. And this is a pretty classic story that I tell all the time. So I have a business coach, and I've had a business coach for a long time, and he's super awesome. And so one day I had just come back from a competition, and I had, 11 or 12 clients that all competed at that show. And so I was sitting down and I was talking to them, and I was showing them these transformations that these clients have made. Okay. And I had 11 clients at this show, and every single one of these clients made these radical and amazing transformations. And most of those 11 clients were first-time competitors. And he was sitting there and he was just like, wow, like how in the world are you able to create these transformations time and time and time and time again? And this guy's been working with me for 4, 5, 6 years at this point. And he's been working with me for a long time. And he just finally is like, wow, like I'm starting to see like, what in the world are they doing different than what a lifestyle client would do? What is so different about their program that they can get those types of transformations, but your lifestyle clients, they sometimes struggle, right? Why is it that you're able to 90 to 95% of people that decide to do a show with you, why is it that all of those people get transformations, right? And I said it basically came down to 4 things, okay? And so these are my bonus next level things that I'm going to talk to you about. And I'll tell you that if you can add these 4 things on top of what we just talked about, you're going to be in an amazing place. Okay. So the 4 things I told him, I said, number 1, every single one of my clients, every single one of my competition clients, they have a deadline. They have a date that they cannot change and they cannot manipulate. Okay. How many times have you said, okay, by my birthday, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, right? Or by 4th of July, or by Halloween, or whatever it is, or by, March, if you're starting in January. How many times have you set a date and you set it yourself, but then you're starting to go and you're like, yeah, I'm going to push it back another month. Or, I didn't work out this month, so I'm going to say April now. Right? Or instead of spring break being shaped by spring break, I'm going to push it back to Easter, right? Or, I'm going to push that back to the end of school or summertime or whatever it is, right? We've all done that, right? So, every single one of my clients that make these radical transformations, they all have a deadline that they cannot change and they cannot manipulate. So that's number 1, okay? Number 2, and this is a big one, they have fear, okay? They have fear of a few things. They have fear of being that odd man out, right? They have the fear of being that Facebook meme, right? Where they're on stage and they look like they don't belong. They have this crazy amount of fear, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be that person on stage. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that lady on stage that everybody's like, ooh, who let them compete, right? So they have the fear of that, right? They have the fear of looking bad amongst their peers, right? It could be, their friends that are also competing, or it could be the people that are going to be at the show. But they have that fear of not looking the way they feel they need to look. Okay. That's a very, very important thing. Okay. And that fear is what drives them. That fear is what makes them work. That fear, right? Knowing that they can't change the date, right? And you add the fear together. Now that makes somebody bust through barriers. Sometimes the fear of embarrassment is all you need to really get through that quitting point. Cause you're like, there's no way, right? When that cheeseburger is there, right? Like that, it happens right now. I'm not just talking about fear in a vacuum, right? Because it needs to have all four of these things, okay? Just can't have fear, okay? Because not all fear is healthy fear, but this is the healthy kind of fear when you put it together with a deadline, okay? And the other thing is, the third thing that that all of these clients have is they were all part of a community, right? So as you know, I just told you I had 11 clients that are all there, right? That are all competing together. And these 11 clients, in a sense, started their journey about the same time. They went through, Zoom sessions together. They went through posing class together. If I have clients that are online, we get to connect with each other through Zoom, and we get to see each other's faces. We're in a chat community where we can chat back and forth. We're in this community where we can chat back and forth. Okay. In my app, I actually have a competitor group where all of my competitors can sit there and talk to each other. So they have a community where they're being supported, right? They have a community where they're understood. Hey, look, there's going to be people who have competed in shows who are just there to help, that are in the community to help out, or there's going to be people that are in the shows that are doing it for the first time, just like you, right? But they all have that community of people that they can either look up to, get knowledge from, or say, you know what, I'm not the only person going through this. There's other people that are also struggling, but they're deciding that they're going to push forward. So you know what, I'm going to push forward as well, okay? And the fourth thing that all of these clients had that I told my coach, the fourth thing was that they were actually being a part of a real event. Okay. They were actually a part of something that was bigger than them, that was bigger than the coach, that was bigger than their team. Okay. It was actually a real deal thing where other people from outside of our community were going. Okay. And it was a real thing. And in fact, it should be, it's a real event when you get really nervous about committing to it, okay? If you're super nervous about committing to it, that's about the right level of, that's about probably a good thing, okay? If you're nervous about hitting that enter button and your finger is just shaking because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm about to do this, right? That's about the type of event that you want to do, okay? If it's really easy for you to commit, chances are it's going to be really easy for you to quit. Okay. But if it scares you and the idea of doing this event scares you, then you know what? It's probably about the right level. Okay. So if you really want to add on top of the four things that we just talked about, then create a deadline that you can't change or manipulate. Okay. Have something where you can create that fear of being the odd man out, or embarrassing yourself, or feeling like, oh man, I really got to get my stuff together because everybody else is getting their stuff together, right? Be a part of a community. Okay. And number four, do something that's a real event that's bigger than you, that bigger than your date, bigger than everything else. Okay. In fact, I'm actually creating a transformation program right now for my lifestyle clients, and we're about to go through this whole process. And I've put in all four of these things into their transformation program. So I'm super excited for my lifestyle clients to go through this, because it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to give them something where, now it's time to buckle down, and now we're actually going to get after it. We have a deadline. We have a community of people. We have a support system, and we're actually doing this really cool event, a photo shoot, a team dinner, a banquet dinner. We're going to do awards. We're going to dress up really, really nice and dress to the T's. Like we're going to look amazing. We're going to get some amazing photos that we can post online and just show off all of our hard work. I'm super pumped about it. So Andrea says, I had trouble trusting the process because I didn't fully understand everything at first, but I realized I had to put my trust in you as a coach, that you've done this for tons of times and you wouldn't put me in harm's way. You gave me the tools I needed, and I believe I had what it took to be successful. And that's the big thing, especially, if you're doing this on your own, guys, it's tough. It's challenging. I'm not going to lie. It's really tough to do it on your own. And that's why, if you really want to make this amazing transformation, and a transformation that is kind of mind blowing, if you've already been trying for a long time, and you haven't been able to be successful, maybe it's time that you really consider hiring a coach, because it is very tough. Now, this is Andrea. She had me as her coach, and she still had a tough time, right? She still struggled. Okay. So doing it on your own is really tough. But yeah, at the end of the day, you have to kind of understand the concept of the process of what you're going to go through, which is what we just did here, right? Understand what's going to happen, but you need that continuous support. And at the end of the day, you're going to hear this all the time. You'll hear this from people who have completed the journey, who have competed, people who have made these radical transformations, and you'll hear them say the same thing over and over again. Trust the process. Trust the process. Aaron won't let you down. Trust the process, okay? Because there's so many times where you start to fear, you start to have these negative thoughts, and you start to think, oh no, Aaron just doesn't understand me. Aaron doesn't understand what I'm going through. Aaron just doesn't get it, right? And then you start thinking that you know better, okay? Like Andrea said, I have done this so many times. It's unbelievable. So I started working with competitors in 2008 and 2022, and I'm still working with competitors. And every year I'll do anywhere between 2 to 5 shows that I'm getting clients ready for. I work with anywhere between 20 to 50 competitors in 1 year. Okay. So, and some of those competitors are doing multiple shows in a year. So if you just think that I have, 30 competitors and each competitor does 2 shows a year, we're just saying this, I've literally done this 60 times in 1 year, where most people haven't even done this one time in their life. I've done this 60 times in 1 year. And if you multiply that out of 14 years, that's a lot of times that I've actually gone through this, and a lot of times that I've heard the stories, and I understand what's going on. Okay. So yeah, understanding the process is a really, really big thing. So Andrea says she also agrees some fear is good for an athlete's mindset. So Andrea is a licensed professional counselor, and she understands the athlete portion of it. And there is this, there's a fine line of having too much fear where, it makes you, kind of just go off the rails. But there is a healthy amount of fear, and every single person has a different healthy amount of fear that they can do. And that's why it's really important that you have that support system. You have a community that you're a part of, so you can really gauge it and understand like what is healthy, what isn't healthy. Okay. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap up today's session. These are my tips on how you can get a competition body without doing a competition, and my bonus tips of what you need to do to really ensure that you are going to make that transformation. All right, guys, as always, if you have any questions about how you can make your transformation, or if you have any questions about how you can join my transformation program, feel free to either comment below or send me a direct message. I'll be happy to talk to you more about that. But until then, guys, I'll see you next week. See ya.